It's snowing again today, although it does seem like it's rained in some parts really lightly. I think we got like what, maybe 6 or 10 centimeters last night? I know there are schools that actually closed down today too. And what did I read today? I guess this was kind of interesting. Apparently they say it's a first where someone's used a drone to save a cardiac arrest patient. It says here, for the first time in medical history, an autonomous drone helped save the life of a cardiac arrest patient. For the first time in medical history, a drone has played a crucial part in saving a life during a sudden cardiac arrest. The world unique achievement took place in Trollhättan, Sweden in December of 2021, when an Everdrone autonomous drone delivered a defibrillator that helped save the life of a 71-year-old man. This is truly a revolutionary technology that needs to be implemented all over, says the patient, who has now made a full recovery. So autonomous drone actually doing this, that's kind of cool. It says Everdrone's emergency medical aerial delivery service, an innovative link in the chain of life-saving measures of region Västra Gotland, Sweden, was put to a toughest test in the morning of December in the 9th of 2021. In the Swedish city of Trollhättan, a 71-year-old man was shoveling snow in his driveway when he suffered an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. Thanks to the combination of an immediate emergency call, the quick actions of Dr. Mustafa Ali, and the swift delivery of an automated external defibrillator, life-saving measures through defibrillation could be initiated before the arrival of the ambulance, and his life was saved. The time from the alarm until the AED was safely delivered at the doorstep of the incident address was just over 3 minutes. After the initial treatment on site, the patient was rushed to the hospital and today is fully recovered. Wow, that's pretty quick. Interesting to read the doctor's comment too. It says here, I was on my way to work at a local hospital when I looked out the car window and saw a man collapse in his driveway, says Dr. Ali. I immediately understood that something was wrong and rushed to help. The man had no pulse, so I started doing CPR while asking another bystander to call 112. Just minutes later, I saw something flying above my head. It was a drone with a defibrillator. So that's awesome to read. It makes you think though, in this case, the person looked up, they saw a drone, hey, it has something I need, a tool. Imagine all those people, unfortunately, they're still in the mindset of, oh no, a quote drone, it must be spying on me and I'm going to quote shoot it down. Imagine in this case, huh, if someone actually had that paranoia and shot this down when it was going there to save someone's life. And then I was reading this, which kind of relates actually to that thought on how there's a lot of people who don't really base things on facts, but they just run with it. And here it says, Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes guilty of 4 counts of fraud conspiracy. Former CEO of blood testing startup acquitted on other 4 counts. Jury deadlocked on 3. So this is that story of the person who started up a blood testing, I guess you could say, company that was supposed to promise rapid results, where in the end it didn't actually do what was advertised. And they're saying this person, the Elizabeth Holmes, was basically scamming people, investors and all that. That's what they claimed anyways. So apparently she was found guilty, but not for everything. It says former Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes was convicted on 4 counts of fraud and conspiracy Monday, ending a lengthy trial that has captivated Silicon Valley. The former entrepreneur remained seated and expressed no emotion as the verdicts were read. Her partner, Billy Evans, showed agitation in early moments, but appeared calm during the verdict reading. It says here faces up to 20 years for each guilty count. Holmes faced 11 different charges. She was found guilty on 2 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud on Monday after 7 days of deliberation. Acquitted on 3 counts of defrauding patients who paid for tests from Theranos, and on a related conspiracy charge, the jury was deadlocked on the 3 remaining charges. So apparently, I guess they were convinced that she defrauded quote investors, but for people who took those tests and got, I guess, bad results, if that's what you want to say, I guess unfortunately there wasn't enough proof to determine she did it intentionally. I guess that's the right way to say it. It's more along the lines of you probably do believe it was someone who had the mindset that her product did work but didn't actually work. It's a complete difference, obviously. It's kind of interesting reading some other articles too where they talk to some jurors, and it says here, it's tough to convict somebody, especially somebody so likable with such a positive dream, he added. noting he voted guilty on 3 counts of which a jury could not agree. We respected Elizabeth's belief in her technology and her dream. We thought she still believes in it, and we still believe she believes in it. So it's one of those things where it comes down to things like personality and stuff too, but it makes you wonder, how did this get so far? Although when you think about it, it happens all the time in life. And with that, people are trying to generate, I guess, what are the lessons learned. It's kind of interesting because this kind of relates to, as I said, how there's a lot of people who just prejudge something immediately without actually looking at things like the facts. This one here says, Theranos' guilty verdict shows the dangers of groupthink. And so, in the opinion here, it says, groupthink won't end with Theranos. The clincher is that nothing's really changed regardless of Holmes' fate. The bigger question goes back to groupthink that made the Theranos an almost cult-like investment. Try putting yourself in a pitch meeting with the highly intelligent and charismatic Holmes back in, say, 2013. As that room looked on admiringly, would you want to be the lone naysayer? Most people wouldn't. I mean, it's easy to look on the outside and say, yeah, of course, but when you're actually in that situation, most people will just go along with it, and it's kind of true. And some interesting quotes. It says, as Webster wrote 3 years before Holmes was indicted, think of groupthink as a consensus gone awry. When people in a cohesive group value conformity above all else, members of the group then agree to get along only because being part of the group is more important and more valued than disagreeing with the group's collective opinions or actions. And I guess that's true in many ways. In terms of lesson learned, I would think it's pretty universal just from my observation and reading stories like these, which is why it's good to do so, because there's usually a science to it. Everything has kind of the same elements. For example, I guess if you want to determine who's, quote, I don't know, the fake guru or something like that, like in this case, I could imagine that's kind of the issue where someone's saying they're bigger than they really are, they have something that's so big, but in reality, it's nothing. Kind of like fake gurus, just look at their background, I guess. If they're selling things like, I don't know, courses and stuff like that, find out, were they selling courses of, I don't know, how to get rich or something like that, how to start like a big business. When you look at the background, okay, what big business or whatever did you create before this? If you look everything up, there was nothing, you'd be like, hey, what's going on? But many times, unfortunately, all they have to do is just keep repeating that, and then people will believe it. They sell someone, I don't know, $100 or $200 course, and they just keep going with it, I guess you could say. I think it's the same thing too when you think about it with, like, say, drones, people promoting, I don't know, regulations to be over the top for commercial gain. Look at the person's background, I guess you could say. If they're selling these expensive courses or whatever, did they actually do things like the certification or whatever in various countries before they started selling courses on how to do exams and all that? I think you might be surprised on how many companies actually didn't, because they just saw an opportunity. Oh, I gotta dump this out and start selling it. Or same thing, if they're running training programs and all that, see who actually has like experience, because in some situations I've read too, people selling $1,000 courses and all that, and you look at the background, they even show they maybe flown, like just say a quote drone, maybe for an hour or 2 hours, but ultimately it just comes down to perception, right? People are just desperate for some kind of solution, and then they quickly see this, like, okay, I guess that looks right. So yeah, it just comes down to checking the facts, I guess, like everything else. Alright, see you guys later.